Okay, today we're talking about wedging. What wedging does is it takes all the unevenness out of your clay. It makes it blended so there's no soft piece or drier piece. It also takes all your air bubbles out. If you've got air bubbles in your clay, what happens when you're throwing in that air bubble, well, it causes a lot of problems. I've made the biggest air bubble you've ever seen, and we're going to show you at the end what happens to the air bubble in your clay body. But it makes it even, it makes it blended, and it also works as no bounce aerobics. This is called spiral wedging for obvious reasons. So let's finish off this wedge, and I'll start you at the beginning and how to wedge. So we're going to get this piece of clay and I'm going to wedge it again. Now to start your spiral wedging, you just want to start pushing your hand in and see I'm starting to get a cone there. And I'm just working with this handful right here, and I'm making this cone with my hands, this cone right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the corner of that cone up and push it down into there and spin the clay. It pivots on my left hand, I'm right-handed. And it's just this is a right angle here, this is a cone, that corner goes to there. Pick it up, spin, pick it up, spin. And there's just that rocking motion. You can see right there, an air bubble popped. As I said, I will show you at the end what happens to air bubbles. So that's, and it takes some practice, so pick up that corner, put it down, pick up that corner, put it down. And now if you want to finish it off, you just start round, pushing more with this hand and less picking up, and you spin it more. And that spiral gets smaller. So that's spiral wedging. I always, when I'm getting ready to go on the wheel, will wedge up a big piece with the spiral wedging and then divide it into smaller pieces for the wheel. Before I go on the wheel, each piece of clay is weighed. I know what clay, like what a bowl weighs or a teapot weighs. And so I'll cut that and I'll weigh it, and that's exactly the right amount. And then what I do is I do some forward wedging. So I just forward wedging is forward wedging or ram's head wedging. My palms go push down and pivot on this part of my finger and roll up. Push down, pivot, roll up. And you can see what happens to that clay. And they call it ram's head wedging. Well, one thing I want to do to make sure is your hands are completely parallel, that they just go around and around. You don't want your hands to drift onto the top, because what happens with the ram's head wedging is his horns get really long. But ram's head wedging is more fun than forward wedging because he looks like a ram. Anyway, I don't get out much. So what I do is I will weigh my clay and I'll wedge it up and say this is a 12-inch bowl. And I always have a piece of plastic handy, and I get ready for the day by wedging up, telling my clay what it's going to be. You are a 10-inch bowl, and then I'll do another, so then another one that would be a little bit bigger. And so here's the forward wedging again, is you just pick it up, push it down, pick it up, push it down, pick it up, push it down. And notice my fingers are always directly across from each other, and my hands are always parallel. And the ram's horns always pivot on the bones of my middle finger. So then that would be, and I actually tell, like I said, tell the pots. This would be a shallow bowl. I have like SB on it, so it knows what it goes on the wheel, what it's going to be, and I know before it goes on the wheel what it's going to be. So there's wedging. I did mention what happens if you don't wedge properly and you get an air bubble. Now I have made the biggest air bubble known to mankind, and I'm going to show you what happens. So this is your clay wall. This is a fairly big one. And I'm going to cut it in half and show you in there is a great big air bubble. So what happens when you're throwing, if that air bubble gets popped, now that clay is this thick. So it's this thick to this thick to this thick, and that's going to cause a lot of problems. So here it is again. So you pop your air bubble, and then you close it up and you throw it, and now you've got this big thin piece of clay in your thick clay wall and you're throwing your pot, that's just going to collapse and cause you all sorts of issues. So there's wedging. There's forward wedging. Now if you like this little demonstration of wedging, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. If you want to see how I wedge two colors together, so maybe you have a really hard clay and a wet clay. Anyway, if you have two clay bodies that aren't quite the same, I'm going to show you right there how to wedge them together. And thanks ever so much for watching.